In today's episode, I speak to Ken Attard about the myth that entrepreneurs need to struggle to succeed. We also discuss belief systems and the power of your words. Ken explains the difference between taking action and taking inspired action. And we also talk about the 5 pillars of the ARC method. And if you stay to the end, you'll be able to access Ken's free masterclass. Listen up to the rest of the conversation. Before we begin our conversation, here is a quick shout out to the pathologically curious. Check out the Maverick Paradox magazine. It's a digital magazine written by Mavericks for business owners and professionals. You can find the magazine at themaverickparadox.com. The magazine's aim is to provoke maverick leadership everywhere. Welcome to the Maverick Paradox podcast, where we explore what it is to be a maverick and discover effective modes of leadership. I am Judith Germain, and my mission is to propel the maverick mindset into a world where character and integrity will ultimately have a higher premium than personality and bureaucracy. So thank you for joining me on this journey. If you would like to continue with me, then please subscribe to my podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or one of the other popular podcast platforms. And today our guest is Ken Attard. Hi, Ken.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And how are you doing today?
You know what? It's absolutely a beautiful day. So I'm stuck in here. It's so horrible. And then, like, yesterday was beautiful. But both days I'm like 13, you know, in the sort of office, and I'm just like, oh, nightmare.
But can you actually move around?
Yeah, I can. It's just
so you're not
sunny outside.
So you're not literally stuck, right?
No. I see. You're going to be like this, are you, Ken?
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Okay. Well, first of all, tell us who you are. Who are you, Ken?
Oh, what a great question. Isn't that one of the biggest philosophical questions that is out there?
I know. I love
Are
it.
you?
Deliberately vague. Well, you guide us through the story you want to read.
Okay, right. Okay, so just to give listeners an idea, I was born in Canada, but presently I am based in Malta. My parents are both Maltese, and I have been based in Malta now for the past 41 years. So that was has been obviously I obviously love it here because I'm still here. I do get back to Canada, which is a wonderful country as well, once in a while. But I do love it here, and I just love the smallness of it. Actually, believe it or not, where a lot of people don't adapt to that. And I've been just to give you a bit of a background story to myself. I've been delving in personal development now for probably the past 15, 16 years, and I've been an entrepreneur for the past 20 years as well. And when I first got involved in personal development, it was because I got involved with a network marketing company at the time, and that's when I was first exposed to personal development. And when I say exposed to it, I started to listen to speakers, I started to read books, and I was just blown away. What really intrigued me very much was a couple of things. First of all, I was starting to learn things about how the mind works and how we essentially have somewhat of a control over the outcome of our lives. And what really blew me away the most was I said to myself, how come nobody teaches us this stuff in school? We learn so many things at school, yet how the mind works and how our thinking works really intrigued me. And from there, I just carried on. And because of the nature of that business, I was speaking in front of people. And long story short, 15 years later, I'm still very much very passionate about personal development, how the mind works, and how we are essentially creating our realities. And one of the biggest things for me that I've learned over the years as an entrepreneur, like I said, I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, and I've had some wonderful glory moments in entrepreneurship, and I've had some really, really low points as well. And without a doubt, because I had been delving into the personal development and learning about how the mind works, it actually helped me to pull out of those very low moments much quicker than potentially it could have been, or I could have remained there. And ever since, I've just kept on delving into this and getting a more and more of an understanding. And my main message right now, especially for entrepreneurs, is that adapting and pivoting, which we hear about a lot, is absolutely essential. And when I say that, it's shifting the mindset. And when we can learn and to shift the mindset and understand that it really doesn't have to be difficult. And this is one of the beliefs that I want to shatter amongst entrepreneurs, amongst anybody living their life, because we're all human beings. We're all, living our lives. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a father. I'm also, a partner. I'm many of these things, and I'm human, just like anybody else. And I have my low points, my high points. But what I've come to learn over the years as well is that my low points have become much higher than they used to be in the past, and they don't last very long anymore. And I think that's one of the significant differences that I've learned, is that I don't need to remain in those low points. And it doesn't have to be difficult. Our thoughts play a very, very important part and are directly related to the results and the experiences that each and every one of us is experiencing. And when we can learn to understand that process, it's going to make our lives a lot easier.
That makes sense. However, are you implying that entrepreneurs generally think that they need to struggle before they can succeed then? Is that what you're saying?
I am saying that. I am saying that because, and not to the fault of anybody, but in general, if we look at the way, essentially we get programmed. People are programmed, and they're not aware of this as we're growing up, especially in our early years. When from birth to 7, there are certain programs that are literally installed into our subconscious, and we run those programs because they're there. And where do we get those programs? We get those programs from our parents. We get those programs from our grandparents. We get those programs from our teachers, from the people we're surrounded by. And again, the intentions most of the time are absolutely great intentions. Like, when I talk to someone and I ask them, I said, do you think you have to, work really hard to earn your money? And most people will absolutely unwavering tell me, yes, absolutely. And, is that bad? No, it's not a matter of bad. It's actually the way society looks at it, though, is that that's a great quality. You want to work hard to earn your money. Yet you could probably think of some people in your life or know of someone who you go, they really don't work really hard, but they still earn good money. And if they can do it, what's stopping you from doing that? So essentially what happens is, as we're growing up, these beliefs are ingrained. And what a lot of people don't understand is that, what essentially is a belief? And I ask people and they're not quite sure. And just to make it really, really simple, a belief is just a thought that you've thought over and over and over and over and over until it becomes a belief. That's why, people like yourself in positions where we're teaching people, or teachers, parents, are in very, very powerful positions, because they are as a parent, I am teaching my daughter. As a teacher, as a consultant, I'm passing on potentially very powerful information. Now, if you're a teacher and you're presenting yourself in front of children, and you're coming to the class, for instance, from the paradigm that, consider yourself lucky if you get a job like mine, then this is what I'm instilling into these children, for instance. But if I'm a teacher and I'm coming from the paradigm of, you can achieve anything you want to achieve. You can be the next prime minister. You can be the next, just whatever it is you want to achieve, you can. And if you want to earn so much, X amount of money every year, you can as well. That's a whole different paradigm that I'm potentially programming that child with. Now, why is this so essential for any entrepreneur? Because if I have a belief that it's going to be difficult and I need to suffer and struggle in my business, then that's exactly the outcome you're going to have. You will suffer and struggle. But society, funnily enough, this is who we give the trophies to. We love hearing, stories of struggle. We love hearing, and then finally, someone makes it, and when we congratulate them, which is phenomenal. It's not a bad thing at all. The thing is, though, what if you could make it a lot easier for yourself? If you knew that your thoughts actually, affect your emotions. They create an emotion. A lot of people think that it's the other way around, that, I'm not feeling really good today, so now I'm having bad thoughts. It actually works the other way around. We have thoughts that are not resourceful, and they create an emotion that doesn't feel good. And when we're having that not feeling good emotion, the actions and our behaviors are going to be aligned with that not really feeling good emotions, which essentially then is going to have an effect on our results and experiences. So think about that.
That makes a lot of sense. When you was talking there, I was thinking that maybe the concept of having to struggle as an entrepreneur is something that people are using as a form of psychological safety. So, if things aren't going well and they're struggling, it's like, oh, well, I'm supposed to struggle. So it's kind of comforting. Whereas if somebody is going in and saying, you're not supposed to struggle, but you are struggling, maybe then people are thinking, well, I'm not doing it properly, or I don't know.
You're really hitting the nail on the head here. And let me tell you why, because, and this is why I really want to, shatter this belief, because I know when I first present this to someone, to an entrepreneur, they're going to go, what are you talking about, Ken? That's crazy. I mean, you have to stop. You have to do the grind work. You have to put in the hours. You have to take that action, which is really interesting because, over the years, I've listened to so many, different speakers, and I've read so many books. And I can guarantee you, in the entrepreneurial world, one of the things that we hear about so often is the action taking. Yeah. And you have to take action. And, and then we hear things like no pain, no gain. And we hear, and they're all good. Don't get me wrong. They're all good stuff. The thing is this, you have to take action. And I commend anybody that actually takes action, which is fantastic. But there is, what I've grown to learn over the years is that there is a significant difference between taking action and taking inspired action. And what's the significant difference between action and inspired action? Is the length of time. Okay. Because someone who's taking action, is perpetually taking action, and is, going through the grind and going over, through the treadmill and continually going and getting into the rat race and all of these things, at some point there is a chance, if the desire is big enough, that they will arrive. But what if you could arrive much quicker with far less stress, and far less time involved, and, much more, let's say, well-balanced? You see, because when you take inspired action, like I said, the length of time is going to be much shorter. Meaning now, and this is crucial, absolutely crucial. How many entrepreneurs out there, originally started in their business because they felt they had a great idea, that they felt that they wanted to, have their own business so that they could work the hours that they wanted to work and earn the money that they wanted to earn. And yet they find themselves now working 15, 16, 17-hour hours a day, and consistently, not for a short period of time, but, years on end. And, the freedom that they originally started out with that they wanted to have, they don't have it. That's incongruent. It's absolutely incongruent, because now you have no balance. Now, all of a sudden, your life revolves solely around your work. You have no time for yourself personally. You have no time for your health. You have no time for your spirituality. You have no time potentially for your family. And again, as the years go by, as time goes by, they find themselves going down the rabbit hole even further, to the point where I've spoken to a number of entrepreneurs where they tell me, I really don't know how I'm going to get out. They wish they could, but they don't know how.
So tell me then, how do you shift thinking? So if an entrepreneur is sitting in that situation, what are the steps they need to take?
Okay, fantastic. And this is absolutely brilliant. And the first thing above anything else is awareness. So when I say awareness, so we very briefly went through the process that happens with the thoughts. So the thoughts create the emotions create the actions, the behaviors, which create the results and the experiences. The first thing I need to become aware of, or an entrepreneur needs to become aware of, is to start looking at the different areas of their life and the different results and experiences they're having in those different areas of their life. So if they looked at their relationships, whether that be with their friends, with their family, if they look at their health, if they look at their spirituality, if they look at their career, and they go, you know what, I'm looking at my health and I'm really not liking this, and this. So essentially, if you're not liking those results, you need to go back to the thoughts. And you need to go back to the beliefs. Maybe there were many years ago, I remembered, I completely stopped when my daughter was born, for the first 12 years, and I was an avid, I used to work out a lot and I literally stopped and said, my priority now is my daughter and my family, and I need to take care of her. And for 12 years, I literally stopped completely. And then it just dawned on me that I'm going to be totally useless to my family, to my daughter, if I was sick and dead. I'd just be useless. So I need to go back to these thoughts, these beliefs, and start to, be aware of what the process is. Am I living my life with a certain purpose and a certain direction in the different areas? Or am I living my life like I like to call it an Indian rubber ball? So, you take an Indian rubber ball, that bouncy ball, and you go into a room with four walls and you throw this ball haphazardly. And it careens from one wall to another, just here, there, everywhere. Many people, many entrepreneurs are living their lives exactly like that. One day is a really great day. The next day is, nah. The next day, the day after that is, fantastic. The day after that is horrible. And there's no direction. Mm-hmm. So it really starts from being aware and deciding what direction you want to take your business, to make it more simple. And the amazing thing is this, and this is why I want to correlate it with the action part and the inspired action part. One of the things that I suggest, one of the first things I tell people, if you really want to be inspired and you want to take inspired action, the first thing you need to do is stop. And it sounds a bit ironic, but you have to slow down. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to find and make sure you're making time to actually stay quiet. Because everything, and this is part of alignment, everything that you want, everything that any entrepreneur wants comes in the inspirations that they want will come in those quiet moments. And there are ways to do that. And again, it doesn't have to be something that is out of this world. It's not. And this is my message as well. It's not rocket science. Like anything else, it's practice. You have to be, just like you might be committed to getting the results in your business, you need to be committed to your personal development. You need to be committed to dedicating a certain amount of time to quiet time. And quiet time essentially is, you have no internet going, you have no radio going, you have no TV going, you have no incoming messages, you have no children around you, you have no spouse around you. You're literally on your own, quiet. You may have some type of, I love using guided meditations, for instance, for myself. And you might find yourself taking the time to go into nature a tiny bit as well, so that you literally quiet yourself down and regroup yourself, center yourself, so that ideas will literally start to pop into your head. And this is where then you're going to start to take the action, which is inspired action, which is going to save you a ton of time on your learning curve.
Okay, so is it awareness, redirection, and commitment?
I would say, well, there's a number. Okay, there's five pillars that I like to take people through. And the first one is awareness. So you start to become aware of how you're thinking, and what you're thinking. You start to become aware of some of the beliefs that you have that are resourceful, that are unresourceful, and then we'll go through the steps of adapting, because now you're going to need to adapt and potentially pivot the way you are thinking, and understanding how adapting, which is literally change, is constantly occurring. Changes are happening throughout our life. Nothing lasts forever. So there are different cycles that go on. So we start to learn and understand and also accept this adapting, and how we can start to shift the way we think so that we start to create different results. And then there's alignment. Alignment is a pedestal. Alignment, as I mentioned to you, is part of it is quieting down, learning to. Part of alignment is learning how to meditate, learning how to just quiet the mind. And again, it's not rocket science. It's literally just learning how to be in the present moment. And it's not a huge thing. And we just really need to sort of more than actually quiet ourselves. It's actually getting rid of a lot of the distractions.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of distractions going on. Then we start to apply ourselves, and we start to apply the things that we're learning, because we're going through different levels of the learning process as well. We start off at what we call unconscious incompetence. What you don't know, you don't know. If no one has, if no one has taught you that the color in front of you is the color yellow, how can you identify it as the color yellow? You can't. You just don't know, because no one's taught you. So there are a lot of people who are like unconsciously incompetent about the way they think, because they've just never been shown. They've never been taught. And then from unconscious incompetence, we now go to conscious competence, because now we're learning. So someone might be listening here and going, oh, this is interesting. There's potentially a different way. So now they're becoming conscious of it, but they still don't know how. And then it takes us to the next step. So now it's conscious competence. They start to apply some of it, and they go, oh, that worked, or that didn't work. Let me try that again. But they need to think about it. Mm-hmm. They're still thinking about it, because they're still in that learning process. It's like someone learning how to drive a car. At first they're thinking about all of these things, right? You never knew how. Then you started taking lessons. Now all of a sudden you have all of these things. You can do it, but you're still learning. And now you're doing it, but you're still making some mistakes, and you still need to really consciously think about what you're doing. And then it finally gets to the final level where it's unconscious competence. You just do it. So now you're driving your car, and I don't know, you're having a conversation with someone in the car, you're I don't know, whatever it is, you're doing you're not thinking about pressing the clutch or not, or pressing the gas, you're just doing it because you automatically do it, which a lot of people will identify as a habit.
Okay.
And then, yeah, and the last, please, but after applying, and then this is another really interesting step, is allowing. And allowing is about trusting. And this is the part that a lot of people find very, very challenging, is trusting that the process you're going through right now, wherever you are right now in your life, it's the exact spot, it's the exact place you're meant to be right now for the lessons that you are learning in your life right now.
Cool. So are they all the 5 pillars then? Do you want to actually say them slowly so that people can write things down?
Sure, absolutely. So the 5 pillars, and it's something that I've created, which I call the ARC method. And for me, it's the ARC method because an ARC is one of the most strongest structures in architecture, and it's a great foundation.
Yeah.
And so the first step is awareness. The second step is adapting. Then there's alignment, applying, and then finally allowing.
Oh, it's all the A's.
They're all A's, absolutely. And so is the ARC method.
You know what's so interesting is, this could be just probably is just me, but the word allowing feels submissive, but trusting feels like that's an action. Do you know what I mean? It feels like allowing feels passive to me, but trusting feels like a dynamic action.
Well, well, even when I tell someone, so if someone makes the decision to stop, when I tell them they need to stop and quiet, so literally take time. Especially if they're, especially when someone is, I find myself, giving an example of myself, sometimes if I'm a tiny bit anxious about something, for instance, and I find my mind wandering and potentially creating some unresourceful thoughts, and there's so much more we could get into, but, so what I do is I literally stop myself. Now, I'm very fortunate that within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I can be near the sea. and right? I'm very fortunate in that sense, and I find myself just spending, and I do it. I purposefully do it and go and reconnect, because allowing is trusting. Allowing is trusting. I understand what you mean, but you think it's passive. But when I tell someone to stop, they could think that that's passive. No, but Ken, I need to be doing something. But when I tell someone to stop, is that not an action? The action of stopping. It's sort of like, it's the same as when someone decides not to do something, it's still a decision. And the allowing part, when I say allow, because allowing and trusting coincides with it perfectly. So they can intertwine. Because when I allow the process to happen, because I might not be able to, in neurolinguistic programming, there's one of the presuppositions is that the map is not the territory. When I can allow the process to unfold the way it needs to unfold, it is an element of trust, because I can't see the whole picture. Potentially from the perspective that I have, and perspectives are very, very important, and they play an important role because sometimes they're based on our past experiences. And this is what we want to get past, is those past experiences holding on to us and creating our future, because our past experiences do not have to be our future experiences unless we allow them to. And that's, again, coincides with the beliefs, because our past experiences may have created some beliefs, and now we're living by those beliefs and not allowing ourselves. I heard something very interesting this morning. I was listening to someone, and he was saying, like, if you're sitting down and I tell you to get up and fly, you're probably going to say, I can't. But if I told you to get up and walk, out of the room, you'd say, yeah, sure, no problem. Well, what's that all based on? It's based on your past experience that you know you can walk. Does it mean that you can't fly? Not necessarily. So this is why it's so important for us to go back and look at our beliefs and start to get rid of the unresourceful ones. And when we learn to truly trust, when we permit ourselves to truly trust and truly allow the processes that we're having in our life, and we are aligned with our true source, and that's what the alignment is all about, where everything is. So there's health, there's wealth, there's spirituality, everything is there. And we allow ourselves to just really trust that process. Could you ever worry if you had 100% trust and allowed each and every process to unfold the way it's unfolding? You would never be worried.
I see. So what you're demonstrating there is really how an individual can self-lead by following that 5-step process there, those 5 pillars.
Absolutely. And they will find that they will have, in as an entrepreneur, for instance, they will find that they're going to be much more well-balanced. They're going to have time to live their life. I mean, what is the sense of having an entrepreneurial life, which is brilliant? Like, it's brilliant because there's so many things, but at the same time, you're actually not even enjoying your life and not living your life. It's just, to me, it becomes incongruent. So, people are starting to live their lives not according to the true values that they have, but they're actually incongruent with the values that they have. And that's what starts to cause a lot of stress, without a doubt, is when the values are incongruent with the life that they're actually living.
Brilliant. I think that's a really good place to stop. Before I do so, though, is there anything that you're dying to tell me that I didn't ask you, so you weren't able to share?
Am I dying? I'm not going to die to tell you.
You just won't put the effort in, Ken. What's going on?
I know, hey. Really, if some of the listeners are, I'm very passionate about the fact that each and every individual, each and every entrepreneur does not have to live an entrepreneurial life that is continuously full of struggle and suffering. And what I have done, for those who are intrigued and want to know some more, I have created a complete, and I want to offer this to your listeners as a gift, a completely free masterclass that they can go and listen to. It's about 30 minutes long, and they can stop and pause and, according to at their convenience. And all they have to do is go to adaptandpivotnow.com. So it's adapt and the word and pivotnow.com, and they can get this free masterclass. And if it resonates with someone, then you can potentially take it further. And I always suggest this to anybody who's listening. If there's something that you listen to and it does resonate with you, then take it, use it. If there's something you've listened to here today and for you it doesn't resonate, that's okay too. The path to success is paved in many, 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 many different ways that are out there. But if there is something that resonates, take it. And remember one last thing that I suggest to every single person: laugh a lot more. When you can get to the point where every day of your life you're laughing a bit, you're laughing a lot at anything, at the small things, then that's fantastic. And even more so if you can laugh at yourself and laugh at everything, because really and truly sometimes I think a lot of people are just taking life much too seriously.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. So, Ken, would you come back if I asked you?
I would absolutely come back. It would be my pleasure.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Maverick Paradox podcast. I hope you have enjoyed listening to my conversation with Ken as much as I enjoyed having it. At the Maverick Paradox, we improve your impact and influence by enabling you to effectively strategize, innovate, and execute. To find out more, contact us at judith@maverickparadox.com. Thank you.
If you are pathologically curious and would love to find out more about the Maverick Paradox, then please subscribe to this podcast on one of the popular podcast platforms. Alternatively, you could explore our resources on Mavericks at maverickparadox.com or read the Maverick Paradox magazine. We publish frequently each week. If you subscribe, you will get our monthly newsletter. And let's not forget my book, The Maverick Paradox, The Secret Power Behind Successful Leaders. For those that love a good discussion, you could apply to join our exclusive Facebook group. Finally, if you would like to work with us or are interested in the Maverick at work, check out maverickparadox.co.uk.